Okay, time for a rant about one of the biggest and frankly most annoying problems on the political left today. And this is coming from someone who is firmly on the left. I am so fed up with all those people here who have turned politics into purity tests, who have replaced real organizing with online callouts, and who seem to care more about their own moral purity than about actually achieving results. There is this maddening leftist pride today in being pure and irrelevant. Too many people would rather be right in the comment section than actually win in the real world. But in the fight against injustice, winning isn't some optional thing. Winning is a moral duty. And you know what we need in order to win? Other people, a coalition. Every great movement throughout history, it was a coalition of people who very often didn't agree with one another. The abolitionism, the women's rights movement, the civil rights movement, the same story over and over again. These were coalitions of people who very often, stood on other sides of important debates, but they still worked together. So here's a useful rule of thumb. If someone agrees with you for 80% of the time, then that person is an ally, not your enemy. It's 2025. Democracy is falling apart. And this is not a time for purity politics. It's a time to work together. It's a time to win. It's a time for power politics.
To serve and protect, they say.
So at this moment, are you thinking about necking yourself? No. You know the guts to do it anyway. Do you want to do the breath test? No. Good. So there's an extra charge. Also, do you have any parents? No parents. You just magically appeared on the face of the earth. Do you have any other medical issues we should know about? Do you have any physical injuries? Have you been diagnosed with a mental health issue?
Let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. This whole idea that change just magically happens because people get upset loud enough. It doesn't. Change isn't born out of knee-jerk reactions. It's born out of ideals. Real ones. Consistent ones. Not just feelings and outrage. But we live in a world that confuses emotional outbursts with moral strength. Everyone's angry. Everyone's tweeting. But almost nobody is thinking. People treat every emotional impulse like a political position. Someone gets offended, and suddenly there's a movement, a protest, a new wave of activism. All driven by pure reaction. But most of it dies the second the dopamine fades. You can't build a future off feelings. You need structure. You need values that stay solid when things get uncomfortable. And here's where it gets interesting. Because when you look at both sides of the political spectrum, neither has nailed this balance. The left does one thing really well. They understand the science of change. They organise. They strategize. They pick an idea and they plan for it like it's a campaign, not a tantrum. The left can see decades into the future. They build foundations, infiltrate institutions, and they move piece by piece until the world shifts around them. You might not agree with all their values, but you have to respect the discipline. That's what I like about the left. They know that emotion is just the spark. The real work starts after the fire. They write the blueprints. They network. They play the long game. They are not just yelling on the internet. They are reshaping schools, policies, media, and language itself. They create the culture, and culture always wins before politics does. It's not magic, it's intentional. That's why they keep pushing history forward, because they plan for it. Now compare that to most of the right wing, especially online. It's chaos. It's 10 different personalities arguing over who's the true conservative. Everyone obsessed with defending traditional values that most can't even define, let alone live by. Instead of debating what the future could look like, they are stuck in nostalgia, clinging to a vague memory of how things used to be. Even though those systems already broke. You hear them talk about masculinity, family, work ethic, religion. But it's more performance than principle. They worship symbols, not ideals. That's the main problem. Right-wing traditionalism today is cosplay. People are posturing as guardians of civilization, while refusing to innovate or adapt. They think saying we need tradition is enough. But tradition, without reflection, is just dead weight. The world moved, technology, culture, values, and they didn't evolve their model to fit it. They are trying to install Windows 95 on modern hardware. No wonder it crashes. Meanwhile, the left sees where the world's going and adapts. That's their strength. Even if you don't like what they are pushing, they are at least facing forward. The right keeps facing backward, polishing the ruins of a system they refuse to modernize. And when you build your entire identity around resistance to change, you end up fighting battles that don't even matter anymore. They lose not because they are wrong about everything, but because they refuse to play the game strategically. It's insane how predictable the pattern is. The left demands change. And whether people agree or not, they get it eventually because they grind for it. They write the scripts, dominate the narrative, position themselves in the right places. The right reacts, always reacting, always outraged. It's the same emotional world they claim to hate. Reaction without vision. They become the mirror image of the emotional left, just angrier and less organised. You can't call yourself the side of tradition and order if all you do is bicker online. The left builds communities. The right builds echo chambers. The left sets agendas. The right argues about definitions. One side plays chess. The other side keeps flipping the board. And this is where the deeper truth kicks in. Change happens because someone had an ideal, not a meltdown. The left at least understands that. They might not always have the right ideals. Some of their ideals lead to chaos too. But they believe in something enough to coordinate. The right has become addicted to reaction. They think that being loud and owning the libs equals defending civilization. It doesn't. It's just noise. If the right ever wants to win culturally again, they need to rediscover what actually built the old world. Not nostalgia, not authority, but clear ideals about responsibility, meaning, and truth. That's what made those systems work back then. It wasn't because people sat around romanticising the past. It was because they believed in a higher ideal. Duty, family, purpose. And they lived it. Now, it's just memes and moral panic. The truth is, both sides have lost something essential. The left's ideals sometimes turn into ideology. They get so obsessed with progress that they start to reject stability altogether. They want constant change, endless reinvention, and that creates chaos. On the other hand, the right's obsession with preserving things as they were has turned into decay. They reject evolution so much that they've made stagnation their identity. It's the same disease, just on different ends of the timeline. Both have emotion without balance. Change thrives in the middle. In the space between emotion and structure, between tradition and innovation, the left knows how to start fires. The right should know how to build institutions sturdy enough to contain and guide those fires. But instead, both act like rival cults fighting over moral territory. Nobody's thinking long term anymore. Nobody's asking, what kind of world do we actually want to build? Progress isn't the enemy of tradition, and tradition isn't the enemy of progress. The enemy is reaction. The idea that you could just feel your way into a better future without thinking, planning, or committing to values that hold true across time. The left succeeds because they commit, even when their ideas are controversial. The right fails because they wait for the future to fix itself. They complain when it doesn't. So yes, change is driven by ideals, not by outrage, not by nostalgia, not by random emotional impulses that feel good in the moment. Ideals are what separate revolutions from riots, and principles from dogmas. And we are living through an age that desperately needs more ideals, not just from one side, but from all of us. Ideals that are brave enough to challenge emotion and discipline, enough to outlast it. Because at the end of the day, feelings fade. Outrage burns out. But ideals, they build nations. They build civilizations. They turn moments into movements and chaos into history. Everything else is just noise. Loud, distracting, temporary noise. Until someone finally stands up and says, enough, let's build something real. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? Change only means something when it's built on something real. You can't scream your way into a better world. And you can't clean your way back to an older one. You've got to build the future of ideals on conviction, patience, and backbone. Everything else is just noise pretending to be purpose. Anyway, that's my take. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But if any of that hit you, if it made you think more than 10 seconds, do the simple thing, drop a like, leave a comment. Tell me what side of this argument you actually stand on. Do you think the left's way of organising wins in the long run? Or do you think the right should evolve before it disappears? Hit subscribe if you want more long-form breakdowns like this. Raw, no filter, straight to the point. I'm not chasing trends. I'm chasing truth. So if that's your vibe too, welcome to the channel. Let's keep the conversation dangerous and honest. I'll catch you in the next one.